Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, chapter 3, text 34, right? 34? Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Yad yeshu parata devi maya vaisharadi matihi sampana eviti vidur mahimni sway mahiyate yadiyesho parata devi maya vaishradi matihi sampana eviti vidur mahimni sway mahiyate yadiyesho parata devi maya vaishradi matihi sampana eviti vidur mahimni sway mahiyate yadiyesho parata devi maya vaishradi matihi sampana eviti vidur mahimni sway mahiyate yadiyesho parata devi maya vaisharadi matihi sampana eviti vidur mahimni sway mahiyate yadiyesho parata devi maya vaishradi matihi sampana eviti vidur mahimni sway mahiyate yadi it sorry yadi if however Aisha they uparata subsided Devi Maya illusory energy Vaisharadi full of knowledge Matihi enlightenment Sampana enriched with Eva certainly Iti thus Vidu being cognizant of Himni in the glory sway of the self Mahiyate being situated. Translation and purport. By His divine grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta, Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. If the illusory energy subsides and a living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory. Please repeat. If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization. And thus becomes situated in his own glory. Purport. Because the Lord is the absolute transcendence, all his forms, names, pastimes, attributes, associates, and energies are identical with him. His transcendental energy acts according to his omnipotency. The same energy acts as his external, internal, and marginal energies. And by his omnipotency, he can perform anything and everything through the agency of the above energies. He can turn the external energy into the internal by his will. Therefore, by his grace, the external energy, which is employed in illusioning those living beings who want to have it, subsides by the will of the Lord in terms of the repentance and penance for the conditioned soul. And the very same energy then acts to help the purified living entity make progress on the path of self-realization. The example of electrical energy is very appropriate in this connection. The expert electrician can utilize electric energy for both heating and cooling by adjustment only. Similarly, the external energy, which now bewilders the living entity into the continuation of birth and death, is turned into internal potency by the will of the Lord to lead the living being to the eternal life. When a living being is thus graced by the Lord, he is placed in his proper constitutional position to enjoy eternally spiritual life. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsta Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Rugnapam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parirana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakharpitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Yapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare. If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory. So here we have some very important concepts. The enlightenment, it occurs only by the mercy of Krishna. It's explained that this knowledge of self-realization, right? Who am I? Who is Krishna? What is my relationship with Krishna? This is descending knowledge. It means it is not ascending in the sense that I cannot, through my own mental analysis, figure it out. Right? I can use my intelligence to try to do some experiments in a laboratory and try to understand some things in this nature. I can look through some telescope and try to see how some planets are constituted. But to know about the self and the relationship with the Supreme, and to know the Supreme, it is dependent fully on the mercy of Krishna. So this is descending knowledge. The humility that it requires is that to know, we must surrender to Krishna. So when does that knowledge descend to us? When we, as living entities, express the desire to know the truth, to no longer be bewildered by the illusory energy, Mayadini. So, let us remember why we are under illusion in Maya. We are under illusion in Maya because we wanted to be. We wanted to try to enjoy separately from Krishna. That was our desire. Icha dvesha. Krishna explains in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that we had a desire to be separate from Krishna. And it led to actual animosity, dvesha, like hatred. Because we had envy. Why you were the master? So Krishna fulfilled our desire and sent us here to the material world. Because in the material world, Maya Devi is creating an illusion so that the living entities can try to pretend to be independent of Krishna. But we were speaking a couple days ago that we factually cannot be independent of Krishna. Because everything I am interacting with, either in the material world or the spiritual world, is one of Krishna's energies. And as Prabhupada opens the purport, because the Lord is absolute transcendence, we'll discuss that in a second, all of his forms, names, positions, attributes, associates, and energies are identical with him. Are identical with him. This is the meaning of absolute. So, this, stand is made up of wood. That is one of Krishna's energy. So, it's non-different than him. So, we are interacting with Krishna at all times. But because we are under the influence of Maya Devi, we don't see Krishna. Because we want to try to enjoy our senses in the bodily condition, we are under illusion and we don't see the spirit soul. Because the spirit soul has only one activity, and that is to serve Krishna. It is Sat Chitananda, full of bliss, full of chit, knowledge. Chit means knowledge. We often talk about Sat and Ananda. But the soul is full of knowledge. What is the position of the soul? Who is Krishna? What is the Lila? But because we don't want to act in that way, we have come under the influence of Maya Devi. And it is when the living entity has an intense desire to again know Krishna, to have the real truth. Then Krishna says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give the intelligence by which one can see. And what happens when one is enlightened in self-realization? He becomes situated in his own glory. It's a very beautiful statement. So we talk about humility, right? Tunarapi sunichena todoropi shishna mani namanadena kirtaniya sadari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was given us a very, very beautiful statement of humility. But often we mistake humility with low self-esteem. Oh, I am weak, I am feeble, I am this, I'm fallen, I can't do anything. This is not humility. Srila Prabhupada gives us many really nice, practical definitions of humility. In the end, humility means to have an accurate understanding of the self. So, humility means that I know what I am. I also know my greatness, my glory. What is my greatness? I am part and parcel of Krishna, the supreme great. What greater glory we could come to know, right? Imagine that a child is lost in his early childhood and has been wandering the world, struggling for existence, struggling for everything, and has grown up. Many years have passed and is like a homeless kid, now a teenager. And then all of a sudden it becomes known that he is the son of the king. How his life changes instantly. How proud he must feel. I am the son of the king. And his whole existence changes. Similarly, we, circling in this material world, are like a homeless child, just struggling for existence, struggling hard to live day by day. But as soon as I remember, hey, I am son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Forget some king. King will live for 30, 40, 50 more years if based on my... But I am son of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oh, we should be so proud of that. We should be so proud of that. And that child who has been roaming helplessly knows that its entire existence is dependent on the king. So humility means to know that I have no separate existence from my Lord. My greatness is in my connection with the Supreme Great. I know, just as a spark in a fire, that spark in a fire will remain a spark so long as it remains connected to the fire. If that spark creates distance between the fire and itself, what happens to the spark? It goes out. So the humility is to know that if I am disconnected in consciousness, because I'm never disconnected in reality, but I'm disconnected in consciousness, then I am nothing. I am nothing. But connected to my Lord, oh, I am great. Why I am great? Because my Lord is great. Because I have nothing I can do. I am a tiny infinitesimal spark. How much heat can a spark create? Anything meaningful? Even if it lands on your hand, nothing happens. How much light a spark can create in a dark room? Nothing. That is us. But my greatness we should also know. Because I am great connected to the Supreme Lord. So, this guy... So, the living entity becomes fully enriched with knowledge. This verse says. So it is this knowledge to know who am I and who is Krishna and what is my relationship. And that knowledge comes only from Krishna, through Guru Parampara. Imagine where we would be without Srila Prabhupada in our life. What would we we know? Would we even know what the soul is? Would we know self-realization? We might know some rituals. Would we know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead? Would we know that his names, forms, pastimes, and qualities are all the same in potency? So, Srila Prabhupada has enlightened us with knowledge, enriched us with knowledge. But it is now incumbent upon us to act in that knowledge. Because knowledge has only value when it is realized. Realized means knowledge is realized when it changes my behavior. That's knowledge. When there is a change in behavior. You go to the doctor, and doctor says you are sick. You must stop eating these things. You must do exercise. You must take these pills. I have knowledge. I am sick. I got to stop this. I got to do this. But that knowledge is only real knowledge when I start doing it. If I continue doing what I'm not supposed to do and don't do what I'm supposed to do, can I say I have knowledge? No. So we know from the very first class from Srila Prabhupada to the very last class, he says two things in every class. You're not this body, you're a spirit, soul, and chant the holy names. Why? He says the same thing over and over again. Because we don't have knowledge the first time we hear it. Why? Because I continue to act as if I'm this body. So knowledge is vigyan, realized knowledge. When my behavior changes, when my actions change, that is the proof that I've now acquired knowledge. So knowledge isn't simply being able to repeat, I am not this body, I am spirit, soul. Knowledge is that when I begin to act in that relationship. So, this enlightenment is what leads to our glory. When we again remember, wow, I am part of the supreme personality of God. What better position we could have? Think about it. Right? Like being the son of the king is like the highest position in the material world. Right? But that's such tiny compared to being son or daughter of the supreme Lord. So, when we know it, it is very empowering, very uplifting. But we must overcome Maya. Now, we often speak about Krishna's energies, superior energy, inferior energy, right? But wait a minute. I thought everything in Krishna is absolute. So how one can be lower, one can be higher? They're not higher and lower. They perform different functions. The energy is the energy. And Prabhupada gives the perfect example here. Electricity. Electricity is one. Srila Prabhupada's brilliance is in being able to explain very difficult, subtle topics in the simplest of ways, in the fewest of words, in something that we can practically understand. You know, we talk about the soul and the body, right? And he gave this car and driver analogy. It is so brilliant. Nobody has done this before. Srila Prabhupada is explaining how Krishna's inferior and superior energies are one and the same. I can't even understand what Krishna's energy means. And he says it's like electricity. Electricity can either make hot or cold. So Krishna's energy can serve in the spiritual world or in the material world. But it is one. It is Krishna's energy. So in one sense, they are not, inferior, superior, but they're performing superior functions and inferior functions. But the energy is absolute. It is Krishna, because he is non-different from his energy. So Krishna's Mahamaya energy, this is an illusory energy that keeps the soul bewildered of its position. The role of Mahamaya is to not help us see Krishna. And so how to overcome this Mahamaya? Krishna tells us, Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya. This Daivi Hesha, this divine energy. Maya is divine. It's Krishna. Sometimes we go, oh, Maya, so evil, so mean to me, keeping me bewildered. It's Krishna's energy. How to overcome it? Mamevaya prabhadyante. Krishna says, you surrender unto me. Maya mitam tarantite. At once you overcome Maya. Not after some long journey, but at once. And you become in the liberated state. In yesterday's verse, we didn't discuss it so much, but there's the comment that Srila Prabhupada makes about the Jivan Mukta. What is liberation? Everyone talks about moksha, moksha, moksha. This is the topic that nobody understands until they come to Srila Prabhupada. Because moksha is not a geographic destination. Oh, I go from here to there, I have reached moksha. That's not moksha. Moksha means, liberation means, to become liberated from the material energy. I am no longer under influence of Maya. That is liberation. And that can happen even within the embodied state. When the living entity has fully realized the self, they have immediately achieved moksha, liberation. It's called Jivan Mukta. That in the embodied state, they are liberated. Because they are not operating under the dictations of the material energy. They are operating under the dictations of the Krishna's energy. Krishna's dictation. So this is the liberation that we all speak about, but we don't know actually what we are looking for. We want to become free from this material energy and become under Krishna's spiritual energy. And that is why the jiva is called marginal potency. Why marginal? Because sometimes it interacts with the material energy, like what we are doing now. Not now, but in our journey in this material world. And sometimes the jiva engages with the spiritual energy, which is what we're doing now, discussing Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam in the presence of Shri Radha Kunjbhai, Srila Prabhupada. So we go back and forth. But actually the original position of the jiva is spiritual energy. Why? Because we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are part of that Supreme Lord. Right? So, when the living being is graced by the Lord, we are placed, Prabhupada says, he is placed in his proper constitutional position to enjoy eternal spiritual life. This is the easy path. And when we get into our constitutional position, we also come under the influence of Maya. Wait a minute. I thought we were trying to overcome Maya. No. We go from one Maya to another Maya. We go from Mahamaya, illusion about who am I, who is Krishna, what is my relationship, to Yogamaya. And what does Yogamaya do? Yogamaya pushes us deep into the intimate connection with Krishna. I think we were discussing a few days ago that in Vrindavan, in Goloka Vrindavan, the residents of Vrindavan forget that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all love Krishna because it's Krishna. They don't love him because he's God. And we see many beautiful statements and conversations in 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. One of the most wonderful chapters is the chapter after Govardhan Leela. And there it's called Wonderful Krishna. Beautiful chapter. And what happens? All the residents of Vrindavan have just spent 7 days standing under a giant mountain being held by Krishna. If somebody was holding a rock like this, would you stand underneath it? No, because you're scared. If he drops it, boom, done. These residents were standing under a giant mountain that was 16 miles wide. Huge. And he's holding it on his left hand, left fingernail. And when all the residents thought, oh, Krishna must be getting tired, they put their sticks up. Then they, now we are lifting the mountain too. Krishna says, oh, you're lifting the mountain? He just moves his hand like an inch and mountain, oh, Krishna! They became scared because the mountain started to move. They weren't doing anything. So like this, they are just drinking the beauty of Krishna 7 days and 7 nights. They are not hungry. They are not thirsty. They're not sleepy. They're not even shifting, when we're standing and then we start moving. They're just frozen still. And all they are doing is drinking the beauty of Krishna, and they can't get enough. They forgot that the whole Vrindavan was being flooded. They forgot their difficulties, their crisis. They weren't worried about their palaces, their farmlands, their assets. They didn't care. And then the rain stopped, and everything became dry. And they were just stunned in the beauty of Krishna. And then Krishna said, okay, it's time to go now. Everybody go back to their homes. So everybody exits. Krishna puts Govardhan back down exactly where it was before. And all the residents are expressing their glories of Krishna. They are giving him, all kinds of auspicious things and, bathing him in yogurt and all these things. But the cowherd men are having a conversation. They're like, what just happened? What did we just see? And they're like, Nanda Baba, you're Krishna. He is empowered by Narayan. And Nanda Baba, during the naming ceremony, Garga Muni made some references like this, that he would do amazing things. And he is directly blessed by the Lord. So what happened? The residents of Vrindavan were under Yogamaya. They didn't see Krishna as the Supreme Lord. They saw Krishna as the lovable boy of Vrindavan. And that led the residents of Vrindavan to engage with Krishna in the most pleasing of way to Krishna. Now, very important subtlety, but core tenet of bhakti. That the devotee does not want to enjoy intimately with Krishna. Oh, I want to be a cowherd friend so I can play in the forest with Krishna. That is not the devotee's desire. Or I want to dance with Krishna, in the middle of the night, and have this beautiful, form and scent and sounds. That is not the desire of the devotee. The devotee has only one desire: to give Krishna happiness. If that happiness is achieved by that devotee being very far away from Krishna, their happiness is being far from Krishna. Understand? If Krishna is happy by them being far away from Krishna, their happiness is not being close to Krishna. Their happiness is being far. Because their only desire is what Krishna wants. What Krishna wants. So the pure devotee wants to engage in this most highest form of bhakti, this Ragatmika Bhakta in Vrindavan, not to be intimate with Krishna, but because it gives Krishna the highest happiness. And Prabhupada will give us the example. The high court judge in the courtroom, right? People are respecting him, honoring him, speaking only when allowed to speak. There's a very formal etiquette with the judge, right? But is the judge so pleased by that interaction? It is a little bit more formal, right? But when that same judge goes home and is interacting with wife, interacting with child, interacting with friends, which interactions is more pleasing to the judge? Wife is not calling, husband, Your Honor. No, But still that interaction is so deep and enriching. That is Krishna. When Krishna is in his judge mood, he's in Vaikuntha Lok, which is full of awe and reverence. Beautiful. Krishna's grand royalty is on display. The interaction with Krishna is in one of awe and reverence, bowing, fanning. There's not playing with Krishna, right? Certainly not chasing Krishna with a stick, joking with Krishna. No, it's more formal. That's in Vaikuntha. But in Golok Vrindavan, in the center of the spiritual world, the relationship is like when that judge goes home on an informal, intimate basis. That seva is enacted by Krishna's Yogamaya potency. Because if the devotee remembered, wait, this is the Supreme Lord, who will joke with Krishna? They'll simply bow down. They'll recite prayers. They'll offer, different articles of worship. They'll not wrestle with Krishna. But Krishna enjoys that activity. So his Yogamaya potency bewilders the devotee from seeing Krishna. So one illusion takes us further from Krishna. Another illusion takes us closer to Krishna. They're both illusion. Just like electricity is one, it can create heat or cold. So our goal is not to come out of illusion. Our goal is to come under Krishna's Yogamaya illusion, so that we can serve the Supreme Lord in a wonderful way and be intimately connected with Him. And it will happen when our only desire is Krishna's happiness, not our own. And this is what we chant every day. Ashli seva pararitam pinashtumam darshan marmatam kurotu va yatha tata virdato lampato matpranas tata susa eva napala. Do we actually know what we are saying? We chant this every day. But have we understood what it means? This is an expression from Srimati Radharani, who is telling Krishna that if you make me broken-hearted, or you handle me roughly, you are still my worshipable Lord. That is unconditional love. Not if I get this, then I will love you. Right? We have conditional love in the office. I go to the office and do work if I get paycheck. Unconditional. Whether paycheck comes or not, I'll work. Anybody's willing to work like that? But in bhakti, one is serving Krishna unconditionally. Krishna wants to handle me roughly or make me broken-hearted, no problem. He is still my lovable Lord. This is the highest realm of bhakti. And Yogamaya helps us reach that. So just to summarize, there's knowledge about who I am. We are dependent on the mercy of Krishna. Through Guru Parampara, to know. It is descending knowledge, not ascending knowledge. And when we acquire the knowledge, we'll realize our greatness. Why we are great? Because I am part and parcel of the Supreme Great. That is humility. If I think that I am some, useless, again, low self-esteem, I am minimizing. No, I am coming from Krishna. But I should have known that my entire existence is there only by the mercy of Krishna. Just as that spark, it has no existence outside the fire. It immediately vanquishes. We have no existence separate from Krishna. That is humility also. We have to carry both. And when we do, then we'll enjoy eternal life. Coming from Mahamaya's influence to Yogamaya's influence. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Any comments, corrections, questions?
Brilliant class, Prabhu. A lot of points you mentioned. What is real humility, real knowledge? I really like the Prabhupada analogy on electricity. I never heard that before. The first time it clicked me. When I was reading purport, that time it clicked me and you kind of emphasize on it. Very nice. Also, liberation also very nicely explained. Is not the destination, locations. You can be liberated even here. It's all consciousness. And also, you very good explanation of who are the real pure devotee who loves Krishna, who wants to please Krishna. So one thought came that in the material world, spirit soul does not know Krishna as a supreme Lord out of ignorance. And in the spiritual world, spirit soul doesn't know, especially now, Krishna is the supreme Lord out of love. So both the places we never understand Krishna is a Lord.
So
in the reverence in between we have reverence, where we know Krishna is Lord. So now, my question is, we know Krishna is Lord, immaterial Lord, right? So
Yeah.
we not in the, do you know what I mean?
yeah, I know where you're going. So actually, Srila Prabhupada explains this. It's a very important point you're bringing up, because it's a detail that if we don't understand, we can sort of get lost. Srila Prabhupada explains, when describing some of these pastimes, that the devotee knows in the core of their heart that Krishna is the Supreme Lord in Vrindavan, in Vraja. They know in the core of their heart, but they forget through their actions. So it is, again, simultaneously yes and no, right? So in order to enact Mother Yashoda's motherly love, right? Because remember, one moment she's looking in her son's mouth and seeing the whole universe after he ate mud, right? At the next moment, she's feeding him, right? So she knows in the core of her heart the Supreme Lord. So, and when that, what we call full faith, right? We know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? But we don't have full faith in that. I'll give you an example. How many of you ever have fear? You all have a little bit of fear? Sometimes, some noise comes at night, you're walking in a dark street, right? We have fear. Fear means, I don't know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. What is there to fear? If I have faith that Krishna is the omnipotent, omniscient, all-loving Lord, what can happen to me that Krishna doesn't want to happen to me? When I'm in the plane, next time the plane shakes, why fear? If I'm going, Krishna wants me gone, I'm gone. So the devotee is fearless. And who is the epitome of this? Prahlad Maharaj. How much fear Hiranyakashipu tried to impose on him. All the demigods were fearful when Hiranyakashipu just lifted his eyebrow. They would flee. Prahlad Maharaj was thrown into a pit of snakes, put into a row of trampling elephants, thrown from the cliff, put into fire, cold. Why he was fearless? He wasn't clueless. He simply knew Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the scope of fear if I know that? Right? So, the residents of Vrindavan also know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that awareness becomes covered so that they can act in this mood. But they have full, unflinching faith. And we have some faith. Right? We have some faith that Krishna is standing here. But if we had unflinching faith, would we ever leave? Right. Why would we leave? Oh, I have to go do this, I have to go do... What is this and that compared to seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So we have some faith. Otherwise, why we would come? But our faith is not yet complete. So that's why we pray to the Lord. Give me faith to see you.
To add on to that point, Yashoda Mata, she sees our entire creation in the mouth of Krishna, belly of Krishna. Also, Krishna wants her to forget that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Because Krishna wants her to treat him as a child.
Krishna wants the loving love of mother, not worship of mother.
Right. So So in our case also sometimes, if you know Krishna is the Lord, how can you dress him?
How can we what?
Dress him.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
You cannot.
It's not. But then Krishna gives us intelligence that we dress him.
Remember, we know that the deities dress themselves.
Right.
But we think, I am doing it. We think, I am doing it. The devotee becomes possessive. I want to do it. I want to do it. That is why, until one is sufficiently purified, one should be extremely careful in dressing the deities. And should dress only exactly how they were shown. Why? It's a simple concept. As soon as I start using my own idea, now I am doing according to my understanding, which is impure, because my heart is impure. Just like if I am looking at a painting through my glasses, which are dirty, I'll not have perfect vision. But if I'm looking at the painting through the art director who's explaining, I'll have perfect vision. Right? So if I dress or do any service according to my own understanding, it will be imperfect until we have become perfected. And that will happen only when we understand, wait a minute, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I'll give you another example, just to help us understand. You know, sometimes in the presence of the Lord, we'll enter into some idle conversation. But if our spiritual master was there, would we enter into the same conversation? When we're in the presence of our spiritual master, we'll dress properly, we'll make sure everything is perfect, we'll shave, we'll do all that. But we'll go to Krishna a little bit haphazard. Why? We're not seeing Krishna fully. So that's why we have some rituals. We're doing ashman, doing these things to remind us we are going to see the Supreme Lord. That's the purpose of it. That's the only purpose of it. Any other questions?
One more point. Devotee wants to please Krishna, but Krishna wants to please devotees. The whole Krishna's mood is to please his devotees. Since both are vice versa, right? If you look at it, like what Krishna does in Vrindavan, he wants to please.
Krishna says, Sarva dharmam prityaja mam ekam. You surrender unto me only. Now the foolish will think that's egotistical of Krishna. But as you're pointing out very nicely, Krishna has only one desire in the spiritual world. He has only one desire, and that is to give his devotee happiness. He doesn't want to enjoy his opulence, his royal accoutrements, millions of servants waiting on him, hand and foot, whatever he needs. He doesn't want any of that. He only wants to give his devotee happiness. And his devotee is not looking to be with Krishna, to enjoy wonderful foodstuffs, to see beautiful things, to become free of this. No, his devotee only wants one thing: to see Krishna happy. So it is a two-way street of love. Whatever Krishna asks of us, He Himself is doing. He asks us to surrender unto Him. The Krishna is surrendered to His devotees. Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakto, you think of me. What is the only thing in Krishna's consciousness? His devotees. So nothing Krishna tells us He isn't doing Himself. He says, you surrender all the fruits of your work to me. What is Krishna doing? He is giving everything He has to His devotees. So this is the nature of love with Krishna. It is a two-way street, not a one-way street. Boss is calling.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, you told Krishna is present everywhere. Like the table is made of wood and everything is so His energy, right? So now how we should execute the devotional service is we have to treat everything as a Krishna. Everything and everyone love of
Yes, nice.
loving.
I understand your point.
Yeah.
So, anashatasya vishaya
respective way.
yatha ramapayajante krishna sambandhisana yukta vairagya uchyate. Bhakti Siddhanta says Thakur really brought out this philosophy of yukta vairagya. So one understands that everything is Krishna's energy. So everything should be used in the service of Krishna. So whatever facilities we have in this material world, I know they are coming from Krishna and they are manifest as Krishna's. So they should be used in His service, not my own service. Right? At the same time, I don't create the confusion. This is achintya beda beda tattva. Simultaneously oneness and difference. I cannot say that everything is Krishna, so I am also Krishna. Understand? So one can think that the energy of Krishna is the same as the energetic, the source. But they're also different. Prabhupada will give the example of the sun planet and the sun rays. The sun rays, the sunlight, is non-different from the sun. But you cannot say that the sunlight is the sun. So everything is Krishna's energy. But Krishna is Krishna in His manifest form. But His presence is complete through the presence of His different energies. So, our consciousness should be how to use everything in Krishna's service. Because it is Krishna's. Nothing is ours. Whatever I so-called own in this world, it is actually Krishna's. But at the same time, we don't think that everything is Krishna. So we have to have both consciousness together. Otherwise we get into this Mayavadi philosophy. No need to worship Krishna. We just worship everything. Nature is God, earth is God, you are God, I am God, everything is God. That's not how it works. Okay? Is that your question?
So we have to execute devotional service. We can in relation with Krishna, with everyone, into everyone. So use everything for Krishna's service.
Use everything for Krishna's service, but we understand, you can engage, let me think of an example. Like you can engage with Krishna in his impersonal feature. Right? The impersonal Brahma Jyoti, it is a feature of Krishna. But that is not, his full feature is in his manifest form. Right? So I can engage with Krishna through, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, through chanting, the Om mantra. Right? That's an impersonal feature of the Lord. But I can engage in Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. That's in his personal feature. So it's not the same. It's not the same. But it's also in one way not different. Right? So, but with knowledge we know we should go to the ultimate. And taking the example forward, Prabhupada explains that within the Hare Krishna mantra is the Om mantra. Just like when I'm having darshan of the personal feature of the Lord, I'm also having darshan of the impersonal feature, because the impersonal is coming from the personal. Right? It's coming from the person. So by seeing Bhagavan, I am also seeing the Brahma Jyotir and the Paramatma. It's all included. Right? So it takes knowledge to know how to engage with Krishna to our fullest potential. Because I can engage with Krishna just sitting in the forest, right? Because Krishna is present everywhere. But Guru will guide us that we are not yet qualified to see Krishna like that. So better, Krishna has by his mercy manifest in this wood, marble. It is not wood or marble, but he has entered into it to give us, the conditioned soul, the chance to see Krishna. But he has no need to stand like this. He is standing like this only for our benefit. He has only need to play and enjoy with his devotees in the spiritual world. But he is manifested here in this Archa-Vigraha form for our benefit. Because we cannot perceive Krishna everywhere. Just like there are radio waves going here and there. Are you perceiving them? We're not perceiving them. But if I put one radio and one antenna, the signal will come. So the signals are everywhere, but I'm not perceiving them. I need some box, some unit to see it. So similarly, Krishna is present everywhere. But that doesn't mean that I can just go worship the tree as Krishna. No. Because that tree is a living entity, separate from Krishna. But I can know that that tree is part and parcel of Krishna. So I should respect that tree. I should respect the ant. Respect the person walking down the street who's drunk and lost. That's also son of Krishna and daughter of Krishna. So the Mahabhagavat sees everything only in connection to Krishna. Everything they see how it's connected to Krishna. That is their vision. So then how they behave, they'll never be disrespectful, never be wasteful, never be hurtful, never be envious, never be, right? All these things. Because they're seeing everything in relation to Krishna. But don't see everything as Krishna.
His energy.
His energy. That is the important. Like when we enter this temple room, you know what we are entering onto?
Vrindavan.
Yeah, but this is an expansion of Lord Balaram. Because all of the paraphernalia of Krishna is Balaram. So this temple, that's why first before coming in, we take blessings from Lord Balaram Ji that I'm going to come and enter into the temple. So like that, our consciousness becomes enriched.
I have a question. This Krishna Kata, this theosophy, etymologically, right?
It's what?
Theosophy.
I don't know what theosophy is.
It means, etymologically, it means God, wisdom of God. God being, rather than, because our body has two consciousnesses. Consciousness of our mind and consciousness of our heart. So we're not.
This is transcendental philosophy.
Right.
This goes beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond the intelligence. This is on the platform of the soul.
But wisdom of the heart,
Well, wisdom of the heart, wisdom of the soul,
wisdom of
right?
the soul.
We are reawakening the soul's chit potency. Remember that the soul is full of knowledge, but it has become covered by the material contaminations. So this knowledge this philosophy is teaching us how to awaken that. This love of Krishna is not something new I have to learn. Prabhupada gives the example that when a child is born, the innate ability to walk is there. So when the parent is helping the child walk, the parent is not teaching the child to walk. No, that ability is there. They're just helping bring that out. Similarly, love for Krishna is dormant within all of us. That is our natural state. This knowledge is helping to bring out that natural state. I am not learning to love Krishna. Loving Krishna is my eternal state. But it has been subdued, lost. So this philosophy, this knowledge, is there to awaken our original natural state of love for Krishna. But I'm not learning something new. That's why Prabhupada was once asked, Prabhupada, are you here to convert everybody? He was asked by a reporter. He says, I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm here to help you remember what you have forgotten. It was a brilliant statement. It was a brilliant statement. He said, I'm just here to help you remember what you have forgotten. That's it. Okay, it's getting late. Thank you very much. Wish everybody a very happy Ekadashi Mahotsav. Extra chanting. Extra chanting, extra service. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki.